Shake, shake! Shake, shake! Oh! Shake, shake! Hey! I see what you're doing. Making some mischief. Ayy. 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 Episode of Unseen Spotlight. That was the best trumpet noise I could make. This is a show where I review games that didn't really garner that much attention. This could be from either the gems of gaming or to those that have fallen off the face of the earth. I hope to show you something new in the lesser known zone of gaming. And I'll start with something from my childhood, also known as Mischief Makers.
Now, for those of you who don't know what Mischief Makers is, oh boy, are you in for a treat. If I could describe the game, I'd describe it like a Saturday morning cartoon. The game. Equipped with terrible dialogue and all. Mischief Makers is a side-scrolling platformer / beat-em-up on the Nintendo 64. It was developed by Treasure, a company that, well, would fall off the face of the earth. I mean, their last game was Geist Crusher God? What? And published by Enix and of course Nintendo. It generally scored pretty mixed reviews, being between the 60 and 80% mark, and gave the gaming world a unique perspective, which could be either good or bad depending on how you look at it. You are a robotic maid named Marina. Yes, it's Japanese before you ask. Taking a vacation to the planet of Freaky Faces, also known as Clancer, which is on the brink of civil war. Oh my, what a lovely destination! Welcome to the planet Clancer, where you can enjoy such views as face houses, face bombs, and face pots. And don't mind that civil war that's going on, it's just a facade. Ha ha! Planet Clancer is not responsible for your death, dismemberment, or acute fear of faces. Marina tours there with her creator, Professor Theo, but is then kidnapped by the evil Empire. Now Marina must explore the planet Clancer to rescue him. The trouble is that the evil Empire, as well as some other shady characters, try to stop her at every turn. Also, some of these guys are going to be like the Power Rangers, with changing beast machines and everything. So Marina must bust out her robotic moves and take action against the evil Empire. The story setup is kind of simple. That's never really been a problem for this game. Marina herself is alright, but you're looking at the wrong game if you want character depth. She has a few dialogue exchanges with various characters, but that's about the extent to which you'll get to know her. The sad thing is that she gets the most attention. All other characters, including major villains, get a couple of scenes at best. Again, not much of a problem, but I like to vest a little more emotion for my robot maid. The game just likes to shoehorn in random characters that apparently have relevance to the plot, like this King Aster guy in World 4. It's like, oh hi, I'm the king. What, where was I? I was hiding. Duh. Like, I suppose the NPCs probably mention him, but ain't nobody got time for that. And besides, the last thing you want to do on a platformer is talk to NPCs, am I right? The art style in the game definitely captures the word unique in a nutshell, with buildings and items usually having a face depiction. It doesn't look bad, just an odd choice. The game plays on a 2D plane with a static backdrop, so while you're adventuring you get to look at face volcanoes, yay! In all honesty though, the game looks fairly nice for a Nintendo 64 game. Sprites are fairly detailed, even if some of them look simple, and the world can look nice and bright one moment, and dark and sinister the next. So that's a thumbs up from me. Bosses I think win the gold star with the art style though. They definitely have had the most thought put into them, which is odd considering that Marina, the main character, isn't as detailed or nice to look at. But that's more of a nitpick if anything. The music for this game can be a bit of a roller coaster. Some of the tracks in this game are downright great and feel very fitting, such as the opening theme, while some tracks can be really annoying to listen to, especially on the puzzle levels, which can repeat a very ear-bleeding kind of track over and over again while you figure out how to beat the level. Although at times the music can be very cartoony, which is nice and pretty to your ears. The boss fights come to mind with this, as it sounds like a supervillain just entered the building. I can't say there is much variety when it comes to the soundtrack. For a few of the levels you'll be hearing the same track you've heard on previous levels. I think the overall soundtrack could have used some improvements, but when it comes down to it, it's not bad. The controls. Oh boy, the controls. They're a mixed bag to say the least. All your movement, jumping and throw abilities are simple enough to use, with the game utilising the D-pad over the control stick. For the most part, this is fine for your basic platforming, but that's just it. It's good for your basic use, not so good for your precise use. For example, to get some of the game's golden gems, you need to be precise with the timing of your button presses, but my god does the control hate you for doing so. The D-pad wasn't the best control for precise use, but Marina seems to not respond well to any directional input. Take this boss for example. I have to pull his head down to whack the guy up on top, but most of the time when I press down, I end up going diagonal. I can't tell you how frustrating this was. I even swapped out controls to make sure that wasn't the problem. But alas, I still had the same problem. But I digress. If you're good with the controls, then you should bypass it for the most part. Except for Phoenix Goddamn Gamma! But for the total derp like myself, I had trouble with it. Marina has an arsenal of moves at her disposal, which are pretty unique. She does her basic jumping and running, but she can also use her boosters to give her a dash in either midair or on the ground. She can also roll and do all of that fun stuff. Marina's signature move is the ability to shake things, or shake shake, as she likes to refer to it, and you will be hearing it a lot.
Shake, 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 shake.
Shake, shake!
This may not sound special, but it's the main way to get through the game, and you can pick up practically anything that isn't nailed down, or made out of faces. You solve puzzles, beat bosses, or just torture the residents this way. Truly, this is one of the best games to fop around in. I like picking up all the guys in Chapter 2 and throwing them into the fire pit of... fire. Marina can also shake enemies and objects to do many different things. You can mix items together, disable enemies, or once again, torture the residents by taking their fat stacks of red crystals. Wait, you're the doctor? You must be loaded! Oh. Ah, I see, all the money goes off to paying the police, who do nothing. There's also a couple of levels where you'll get to play as Kieran, one of the main residents of the world, who is not as exciting to play as, but also has a variety of moves, such as the triple dump and sweep attacks, which is not a bad break from being Marina. A big part of the game is getting the golden gems, which are the main collectible. These tricky little bastards are generally either easy to find, or very hard to obtain. In the basic get from point A to point B levels, they can be very well hidden, sometimes up top in an area, inside an object, or in some cases an enemy. Pretty common and simple stuff, right? But then you have the boss gems, which are difficult. In each of the 5 big boss stages, you have to beat the boss without taking a single hit. Now, for a couple of bosses, this is fine, and pretty simple to do. But do you remember the iffy controls I mentioned before? This is where you will hate them. I've already ranted at them, but honestly, it's a chore trying to do some of these. Oh, and fun little story. There was this one gem I couldn't get by myself, and that was this one, where you have to do this 100-meter dash in 11 seconds or less. And I will admit this now. My one flaw in gaming is freaking button mashing. Like, I press as fast as a statue moves. In the end, I had to get a friend to help and do that bit for me. The golden gems end up accounting for how long the ending will be, which I'll explain later. Other items you can get involve the red, blue, and green gems. Red is essentially a currency of sorts, which can only buy 2 things from it. Hints from Miss Hint, which, as the name implies, gives you a hint on how to beat the level. Not that you'll need it. Or where to find the golden gems, which, if you get stuck, can be useful. But you're better off just looking at the wiki, to be honest. The other thing that red gems buy is your life. What I mean by that is that when you die in a level, you'll have to give up some red gems for an extra go. Although you have a choice of how much energy you can start off with. You can buy just 1 life bar for 10 gems, or an extra energy core for 30, and 2 for 100. Rip off! Can I also say, I love the I'm done option. It's like, nope, I'm out, I'm done, screw you game, that's it, you've ruined everything! Although don't have enough red gems and it's game over for you. But hopefully it shouldn't get there, considering the game hands them out on the first world. The blue and green gems, on the other hand, heal you. Blue is more common, but only heals you a little bit, while the green ones are much rarer, but heal about a third of your meter. As far as level design goes, it's pretty varied across the 5 worlds that you play, although they are pretty standard from a design perspective. You know, your obligatory lava world, ice world, etc. Although most stages offer something unique to the game, where you may go from a standard platforming mission to a fetch quest, or to a puzzle level. Most levels are pretty fresh, and it's nice to see this out of a platformer. Most stages require you to use your marine abilities to either solve a puzzle, platform, or beat the living snot out of enemies. You know what else I love beating the snot out of? Bosses! But only the major ones. Here's why. The big bosses in this game have different forms, and tactics depending on how many hits they take. For the most part, this makes the challenge and satisfaction of beating the boss that much better. Except Sasquatch Beta. Taurus, man, you kinda suck at everything. You need to take a page out of Luna's book and just spam lots of projectiles. The Beasticore is actually quite fun. As I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like fighting the Power Rangers. It's engaging that the bosses can actually take a few hits, while still not taking a buttload of time to defeat. It's a nice medium. So the big bosses are pretty fun. The mini bosses, on the other hand, are a joke. Like the first one, the worm. Okay, I'm gonna get you. Prepare yourself. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, alright. That was just a warm-up. This time it's for real. This time I'm really gonna get you. Oh, okay. Oh. Alright, now this time, I'm really gonna roll you over. Prepare yourself. Oh, no. Rolling in a single direction. It was flawless. The sad thing is that most of the mini-bosses are like this. I get the fact that mini-bosses aren't meant to be, like, the most impressive thing, but come on, this is just pathetic. You go from pretty awesome big boss fights to a bee who can only do 2 attacks. The dynamic, man, it's important. Now, this game isn't very long at all. If you know what you're doing, like me, you can beat the game in about 3 to 5 hours. If you don't, it may take a bit longer, but not by that much. If you did want to get some extra mileage out of the game, then go for the golden gems. They can be pretty fun and challenging to find, with the exception of a few levels. I'm looking at you, Mirko. So it turns out that the stone tablet of doom was actually Professor Theo's brother, Leo. Don't question it, Ryan, just move on. Anyway, it turns out that Leo was controlling both the Beasticore and the Clancers to do his bidding. Somehow. Now you must stop Leo in his stone tablet form with, get this, your words. I kid you not, you must pick up speech bubbles of bad words, shake them into good ones, and throw them at him. What the actual crap? Who thought this was a good idea? It doesn't make sense, firstly, and how can you pick up speech? It just doesn't... Oh, why? Okay, I need a minute here. Okay, so after you've thrown your good words at Leo, his stone tablet breaks and kills Leo, I think? But not before throwing his last attack at Marina, to which Theo then pushes her out of the way. Theo is mortally wounded, and just says, goodbye. Marina, even as a robot, begins to shed a couple of tears. Lol jokes, says Theo, you thought I was dead, that was so funny! Okay, more ranting here. First of all, if you ended it with that, with Theo actually dying, it would have been infinitely better. It would have made your quest seem all for naught. But no, we get the lol jokes ending. We're not done yet though, oh no. The Beasticore wants to have one final fight with Marina to determine who is the strongest, which, okay, whatever. I'm kind of glad this happened, because if the last boss was that stone tablet, I would be judging this game harshly. This boss was actually a little terrifying at first, the way he slowly comes on screen, but then you actually fight him. Is that a Star Wars title scroll? Now the finale of the game. Maybe we'll get some closure, right? Oh boy, where to begin? Okay. First of all, if you wanted to watch the whole ending, including the quote-unquote surprise ending, you'll need to collect every single golden gem. Not a big problem, but that can still take a while. Each gem you collect increases the ending. On my initial playthrough, I got about 31 of the 50 gems, which got me to the credits. You'll need about 28 to view the ending, 12 to view the credits, yay, and the rest to view the surprise ending. Okay, so the ending. King Aster can now come out of his cave now that the threat of invading forces has diminished. He takes his daughter Ondine and has a nice big swanky party. Only problem is that Terran has decided he's not worthy to be around Ondine because they aren't brother and sister. I don't know why this is a thing, it just is. Anyway, Terran runs into Marina, who then beats her up to get her out of the way. Come on, Terran, I know it's a 2D game and all, but you can honestly just jump over her. You literally have a triple jump. Terran then begins to have a cry when his friend shows up and gives him words of encouragement that he needs. He knows that he needs to be with Ondine and can protect her from any danger, considering that he is Blockman. Worthless and needless cutscene? Yes. Yes, it is. Anyway, Marina and Theo begin to take off in their house rocket onto new adventures. Insert Mischief Makers 2 here. Then the credits roll. But wait, there's more. After the credits is the surprise ending. In this ending, you see Geold from the start of the game come back on his cloud to restore the Beasticore to their human form? Wait, what? Since when do they have a human form? Why did they forget they had a human form? If they were human, why do they change into beasts? If they were human to begin with, then why are they like the only three on this planet? I know this is lighthearted and I'm not supposed to take this seriously, and when I was a kid, I probably just didn't care, but now I can't help but question it. It makes zero sense, but oh well, happy ending, I guess? The last thing that happens is that Geold asks if Marina wants to become human. She agrees and becomes human. The end. I mean, there could have been worse endings, and the story was already pretty bad to begin with, so I guess there's no harm done. If you don't take the story seriously, which you shouldn't, then you won't have a problem. Again, it's lighthearted enough to be enjoyed, but that's about it. And that's the end of Mischief Makers. Is what I would say if there wasn't more, but there is. Again. So in each stage you get a ranking depending on how fast you beat the stage. You get an A for beating it in the fastest time possible. For doing it in every stage you get an alternate ending to the game, which I couldn't be bothered getting, but no doubt it wouldn't make much sense. Okay, the things I think bog this game down. I've already gone over the controls, so I'd rather not beat a dead horse. The story is a thing. I won't go over that again either. The music at times can get quite irritating, especially in the maze levels where you spend the most time. Some of the levels can be very short and can be done in about 30 seconds, which is a bummer to say the least, especially when the game isn't that long in itself. Also a bummer are the enemies. They're not very varied throughout the game, as you really just have the Clancers throwing various things at you. I suppose the variety went into the bosses, as there are plenty of them, but it still would have been nice to see. The game overall, with the exception of some of the golden gems, is pretty easy. The final boss is pretty laughable too. You may think I have quite a few problems with this game, but most of them are more just annoyances than actual problems. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Mischief Makers. It's a very light-hearted game, and pretty fun. It's pretty nice to see platforming have some charm, like this game did. Even if it did have a few problems, you should try and pick up a copy if you own an N64. Mischief Makers unfortunately hasn't seen its release on any other platform apart from its debut on a Nintendo 64. So while I do not endorse the use of emulators, it might be your only valid option at this point. The game could have definitely benefited from better controls and more content, but honestly, it's still great, and Games Radar has said it's one of the most underrated and widely ignored games of the N64, which I'd have to agree with. If you can, give the game a go.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Mischief Makers. Its pros heavily outweigh its cons, and it is a very, very fun platforming experience that I think everyone should give a go. Now, next time, we'll be looking at a very cool game known as Time Splitters. We'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching my video on Mischief Makers. If you want to know more about the game, you can view my full Let's Play here. And if you want to see some other reviews, they'll be down in the description as well as some other fun links to Mischief Makers. Once again guys, thanks so very much for watching. And if you want, you can do all the YouTube things. You don't have to of course, but it'd be much appreciated. Thanks again.